drawing of this character. This character is named Star, and this character is supposed to be the wishing star, the star that so many Disney characters have wished upon in other films. And also great news, you might be able to tell just from looking at Star, one of the easiest characters I've ever drawn here. So this is going to be a nice relaxing class for everyone. Are we ready to draw Star?
Yeah!
Alright, you're like, I like easy. Alright, let's go. We're going to start with a circle, and you could draw this circle as large as you'd like, because most of Star's features fit within this circle. I'm going to go maybe the size of a baseball or an orange on my page, and I'm very lightly going to start building up that circle. And by building, I just mean I keep going over and over that circle until I get it the way I like. If you are new to sketching especially, try this approach. It gives you some options. You don't have to get it perfect on the first go. Now, anytime that you draw a character, you want to use construction lines. And for Star, we're going to start with a vertical line. This is going to go right through the center of our circle, just splitting this in half here. And then about halfway up, I'm going to place in a horizontal line. So we're basically creating a large plus sign in the middle. Once you have this, our last guideline is going to be Star's eye line, and this is going to go just above this other line you drew. I would actually maybe even give yourself a little marker. I would say it's around halfway between this line and the top of Star's head, somewhere in that range. And this is going to be a curved line though, so imagine you're drawing a basketball on your page. That's kind of how you want to block out this line. I've even broken mine into two halves. I think that's a little easier. So this is our foundation for Star. It does not look much like a star at this point. It looks more like a weird basketball. But this is going to help us with everything we need to draw. Now, as you saw from that initial image I showed you, Star is very round. Star is not like a really sharp, pointy character. And there's actually a good reason for that. I'm sure there's multiple reasons, but one reason is in animation, sharp features tend to be saved for one type of character in particular. Any guesses what kind? Villains, right? So if you think of any Disney villain like Jafar or Scar, Maleficent, really sharp angles. Star in this film is not supposed to be a villainous character. In fact, it's supposed to be a very benevolent, bundle of joy type of character. So we want to go really soft, round, and appealing. But speaking of villains, something I'm really excited about with this movie is we are getting a Disney villain in this movie, and like a really legit Disney villain. Not to say I don't like a more compelling, like sympathetic Disney villain, but this is like kind of supposed to be emulating like Maleficent, evil queen vibes. At least that's what Disney has said. That this character is just like plain evil, basically, which I kind of like. I think it's fun sometimes, and we even get like a villain song. I'm really excited for all of it. Now I'm starting to draw in the different points on Star's body. And technically, you can place these wherever you'd like. There's no right or wrong here, because Star, can move in any type of shape or really in any direction. So it's possible that on your sketch, maybe, the top point is like over to the left. That totally works. I've drawn in like two of those points right now, one at the top and one just above this construction line right here. And I'm going with like these soft, round C curves. You can almost think of these like rainbows. And I'm going back, and I'm going to lock in these two, just kind of lock them in as we go here. If you've never heard of locking in lines, it means that you go back and you darken in what you like in your drawing. And this is something we're going to do throughout the class, but only when you like something you've drawn. So if something looks a little off to you, leave it light, make your changes, and then lock it in. That's how we get a really great looking sketch at the end of class. I'm going to place in one of Star's legs, or another point, I'm going to think of it as legs, down here towards the bottom here, just off to the left side of our construction line. And this is a 5-point star, so we're going to add in two more, one on each side here. And as I mentioned briefly at the beginning of class, this is not just supposed to be a star, this is supposed to be the wishing star, and the famed wishing star from many Disney films. As many of you know, we are celebrating a big anniversary this year as the Disney company. Does anybody know how many years? 100 years. And so, and specifically 100 years of animation, because a lot of people forget this company was founded on animation. There's a lot of great things that have come out of Disney since, but it all started with the mouse, right? So with that, this movie is supposed to be a celebration and also kind of like in honor of the 100 years of animation that have come from Disney. And so there's a lot of references to other Disney films in this movie, and there's a lot of choices made with this movie that are there to really represent the legacy of filmmaking at Disney. So some examples, this film is in a very unique widescreen format called, what's it called? It's the one that was used in Sleeping Beauty. And this is, again, that really widescreen format, stereoscope. That's what I was thinking. stereoscope, and only Sleeping Beauty was done in this format. It's an incredibly wide format, which means the backgrounds of this film have to be incredibly wide, and so there's a lot of detail put into these backgrounds. In fact, Sleeping Beauty and Snow White were two of the biggest influences on this film. A lot of the visual choices in this movie are based off of those classic films. This movie is also a unique blend of 3D animation and watercolor 2D animation because, again, they wanted to represent where they've been and where they're headed. And so the more modern style is, of course, the 3D animation, right? But they did a lot of hand-painted backgrounds for this film, similar to what you'd see in films like Dumbo, or even like a more modern film like Lilo and Stitch. Those films have watercolor backgrounds as well. And the characters in this film are often a unique blend of those as well. This character is actually fully 2D animated or hand-drawn animated. So I'm kind of excited to see some of those unique visual choices in the film. But they also have references to other films as far as characters go and like stories go. The main character in this film is a character named Asha, and in the movie, she has 7 close friends, and they're inspired by 7 other iconic Disney characters. Does anybody want to take a guess which ones?
Dwarves.
The 7 dwarves, right? I even have a little picture where you can see how each of her friends are inspired by one of the dwarves, and you can kind of see how their color schemes or their costumes emulate different aspects of the dwarves, even their personalities, which I think is really fun. So this movie, I'm really excited for all those like little references. I think it's going to be very, very exciting. At this point, you are good to lock in the full silhouette of Star, so that entire circle and all those points. And believe it or not, we're already halfway done. There's not a lot to Star. So as you lock in your lines, I want to check in with you all. Are we having a good time so far? Yes. Okay, so far so good. Excellent. If you're looking at your sketch though and you're like, I'm not seeing Star, that's okay. We're only halfway done. Right now, it doesn't really feel like anything in particular to me. I think once you add in the face, that's when you'll really start to see Star come to life. Once you've drawn in this outline, let's add it in what's called a character mask. And speaking of character mask, this was actually inspired a lot by Mickey Mouse. This character in particular took a lot of inspiration from Mickey. Not only does Mickey have a character mask, which is a framing device around the face, but a lot of Mickey's animation and expressions were used in Star's animations. So this is a cool little visual from the Art of Wish book, where you can kind of see how they took stills of Mickey and tried to emulate that personality into Star's personality, which I think is really cool. Star's character mask, though, is going to be shaped like a large heart. So what I want to do is I'm going to start on the left side, and I'm creating in a large hook shape, and you'll notice it takes up a good amount of the circle. And then essentially use your guideline as a way to mirror this image. You're going to copy the same thing on the other side here. So you're drawing in a large heart shape. Once you've drawn in the heart, you know the drill at this point. We are going to go back and lock in our lines so that way they really stand out. Something else that I'm really excited about with this movie, I don't know about any of you, but I'm a big fan of Disney musicals in particular. Like, if a Disney movie is a musical, I probably like it better just on principle because I love Disney songs. And this film, of course, is going to be a musical as well. But what's pretty interesting is they're bringing on a new songwriting team that's never worked on a Disney film before. They're actually bringing on somebody named Julia Michaels, who, if you know a lot of pop music, you may know her, because she not only sings herself, but she's actually more well known for writing Grammy-winning songs for like tons of famous singers. Like basically any famous pop singer, she's probably written a song for them. And so for this film, I believe this was her first time writing songs for a musical. So I'm really excited to see how the soundtrack pans out. I know they've been releasing some of the songs as the weeks go on, but that's always one of my favorite elements about this film. Now, once you have this heart shape, we want to draw in Star's face. And I'm going to start right in the center where this construction line is, and right above it, I'm going to place in a little letter U shape for Star's smile. So a little letter U here. You can leave the letter U just like that. You can leave it as just that type of smile, but usually Star has an open mouth expression. So we're going to bring down another letter U shape, creating a really excited and friendly look to Star's face here. Once you've locked this in, I'm also going to suggest that you shade this in. I think that's going to be a great way to really make this stand out on the face. In fact, whenever you draw a character, whether they're a human, an animal, a star in this case, the face is always really the part of the character that you want to emphasize in your drawing, because that's how we connect with the character on screen. Now, Star has a lot of really fun expressions, as you saw from that Mickey Mouse visual, so you can go with any expression you'd like. For me personally, I like to start off on the right side with an oval for Star's eye. So it's like a little tiny olive almost. And I'm going to make this actually the darkest feature on my page. I really want to make sure that this eye is where my viewer looks first. I want to make sure that this is the focal point of my sketch. Now, there's a lot of fun expressions you could choose from. You could do the same eye on the other side. Personally, what I like to do, if you've seen any of the posters for the film or any of the trailers, this character loves to wink a lot, which I think is really cute. So I'm going to add like a little winky eye on this left side here. I think it's really fun. So I'm going to start with like this little curved line. And then right underneath this curved line or little hilltop here, I'm going to add in like a little tiny crease showing the cheek being pushed up. I think that looks really cute. Once you've drawn in the face, that is technically it for Star, but since Star is a star, we see a lot of stardust and like sparkles all around this character. So that's what I want to add in next. I think it's going to make it look really cute. If you want to draw any of the stardust, basically what you want to do is you want to start by drawing in a lot of plus signs. So draw as many plus signs as you want to add on your page. No right or wrong amount here. I'm probably going to do like a handful on each side. And then to make it look more like stars or stardust versus just little plus signs, is on top of each of these plus signs, you're going to go back and add in a smaller, that part's important, a smaller letter X right on top of it. And that makes it feel like a little wishing star. Now, as I mentioned before, that wishing star concept was supposed to be in honor of a lot of Disney films that feature that iconic moment. So for me, what comes to mind right away are like Princess and the Frog, Pinocchio. I think of those films right away. And specifically a song from Pinocchio really inspired this movie. Any guesses which song it was? Yeah, When You Wish Upon a Star, right? So that song served as a big launching pad for this film and kind of what they wanted to explore in this movie. And because of this movie, Disney has said, is supposed to really take place before any Disney animated film that they've made so far. So this is supposed to be kind of like the beginning. And so I think that's going to be really cool to explore in this movie. Now I'm going back and I'm adding in a bunch of like little dots and sparkles of varying sizes. Again, however much you add is totally up to you. There's no right or wrong here. This is all extra credit. But once you're done adding in your stardust, your very last step whenever you draw a character is you want to find somewhere to sign your name nice and proud because you've drawn your very own star. All right,